Welcome everyone. This is the AutoML training working group community meeting. I think the 24th of March. Let me try to share my screen first of all. So I think first I want to tell that probably some of you just having the two meetings on your calendar right now. We're still trying to fix this problem because before the calendar that we created for AutoML, we actually used the Kubeflow one, which is basically having a lot of different events. And to be honest, we're trying to update them because we updated the YAML for calendar, I think 2 months before. And I hope you will not get like two same invitation for at least for AutoML, because currently a lot of people just confused for that. So the our time, like to just keep you updated, it's like 5 p.m. UTC and 11 a.m. and we meet twice a month. So every time you just go to these notes, you can find the correct calendar in the top of these notes. And also if you want to add some items, please feel free to update this table and we can include them in the next community meetings. Yep, I think we can start with AutoML. So first of all, I just want to...
Sorry, Andre, just a quick question. Since we talked about the calendar, I wanted to ask, is there any issue or any previous discussion? Because I remember that sometimes we have discussed in the past about removing the event from the Kubeflow calendar.
Yeah, I think right now, I believe keep serving like AutoML and I think everyone just removed all of the like meetings from the calendar from the YAML file. But the problem is like this file has not been synced for 2 months, and because of that you're still seeing the oldest.
Okay, so is there like an issue or a PR that is pending? I'm just trying to make sure that we have a tracking item in order to ping the necessary.
Yeah, so I think Ken from Canonical, he tried, yeah, you hear, right? So he tried to ping the community folks, because the problem is like we can't update it, only I think Google folks with the permission can update this calendar. So we tried to ping them directly on Slack. And if they, if they not respond, we can submit an issue in the community as well. We can just give them maybe like 2 or 1 day for the response on Slack. What do you think?
I can give this a shot next week when I meet with Taya. Yeah,
sure, it will be great if you can help us, George. Yep, so we will try to update them, yeah, because right now a lot of like people just confused about these events, as I said, and yeah, they're like hard to control all of them. Any other questions regarding the calendars? Okay, I think we can move forward. So, by the way, can you hear me? Can you just yourself, or do you want to say something?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I was wondering what repo this is in. I think it's in community, right?
Yes, right. You can. Yeah, it's under community. I can just actually give you the link.
That's great. That's great. Okay, then I'll make sure that we create an issue under community and ping the necessary people and tell them, okay, we're all set. It would be great to also have this.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we can also create it, and the YAML file I will just post it in our notes as well. This one.
Yes. So perfect.
Yep. Let me just put it here. Okay, calendar YAML. Okay, great. Regarding to the release, let me just also post the release notes. We released 0.11 release for KDIP. This will be the candidate for Kubeflow 1.3. So if you face any problems or if you have any questions, please let us know. We try to support Kubernetes 1.18 in this version because we disabled the automation webhook creation. And also, which is pretty exciting, we have a new KTIP UI image for this release, which you just really want. It will be great if you can test it, and if you can let us know about the feedback, because this is still this UI still has some issues, some not issues, but features which is not compared to the original UI. But if you can use it and just let us know what features you are missing there, and what other parts can be improved, that would be great. Kamenos, do you want to add something on this part?
Nope, you covered it perfectly. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, but just to keep you updating, like updating the image is super easy. If you just take a look in the Katib repo and just scroll down to the README, you will find the part how you can integrate the new Katib UI image. And basically, you don't need to change anything in your manifest. You just need to use this repo, and that's it. So pretty straightforward. Okay. Any questions to the new release? What you're missing? What you want to see? Okay, yeah, the next step, just also the blog post was released. Just to keep you updated, this is the link. We're trying to integrate all of the features from 0.10 in this blog post, which is like custom CRD support and also early stopping. So if you're not aware of it, please check this blog post. The next step that I want to discuss about inclusion PV in the Katib deployment, which is this issue. Basically, I think Yanis is aware of it. So the main problem here is right now in the Katib is include MySQL deployment, and we manually include the persistent volume for this deployment, which is probably not correct, because if you take a look in the other Kubernetes projects or other CRDs, they are not actually including PV manifests in the installation process. So the suggestion here is to completely remove this persistent volume YAML from the manifest and try to use the liveness prop and starter prop, because we faced with issue when some of the users, they actually try to use the provisioner for MySQL, and this provisioner just cannot start the MySQL for some amount of time. So I think liveness and startup can help us with that. And I don't think we really need the PV YAML in our manifest, because in general, like PV is the part of the Kubernetes infrastructure, not the part of the KDIP infrastructure. So what do you think? Does it sound good to the users? Any suggestions here?
Sorry, Timon.
Yep,
okay, so this is Yanis. So from my side, I agree with a lot of the things that this user has said below. More specifically, that the persistent volume claim is an abstraction layer from Kubernetes in order to allow its user to plug in their own storage. And by specifying a PV, we're actually going around this abstraction. And the next problem is that when you use a persistent volume, a host path persistent volume, then you force a specific path on the host. In addition, you claim storage that you don't know if it's there. You don't know if the host has 10 gigabytes to give you, or whatever Katib asks for. You don't know if the host already has something at this path. And in general, I don't think it's a great idea. I think it's part of the setting up Kubernetes and not a concern for Katib. And finally,
I think it should be like a part of the control plane of the whole Kubernetes infrastructure, and not to be related to KDIP installation.
Yeah, and most distributions of Kubernetes, like I know Minikube, Kind, K3s, GKE, everything already includes a provisioner.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we agree that we will remove the PV YAML. Do you think, does it make sense to having this component YAML, this YAML under components, just in case that some of the users just don't aware of the provisioners? What do you think?
Sure. We could do that, like as part of a platform setup. If you don't have this, then do this. I think it makes sense if enough users, ask for it. I would be surprised though if they do, because everything I know that has some kind of autoplay functionality like Minikube or all of these things already give you provisioners. So if someone asks for it, it means they're setting up their own Kubernetes. And if you're setting up your own Kubernetes, then I think we're doing you a disservice by allowing for it to work, because it shouldn't work. You should set up your own provisioner.
Yep, I agree. I think we can try to maybe just provide a tutorial, just maybe say something in the installation process that you should have the provisioner to install Kadib. And if you're installing it on-prem, or if you're installing in some type of the cluster which doesn't have provisioner, you can simply use this PV and changing the type of the PV. Yeah, I think it can work.
One thing that we usually say in the prerequisites is that you need to have a default storage class.
Yes, that's true. So yeah, this is a good point. So just point that default storage. I think if we follow this approach, we don't really need to include any storage class in the PVC. So we can leave the PVC without storage classes and just provide the manifest. Yeah, but we can edit in the doc. Okay, so default storage class should be installed. Okay, makes sense. I think also because currently we're using the PV part also in the resuming experiments, because Kadib has the resume experiment feature. And by default, if you're using the from volume resume experiment, it deploys PV and PVC for your suggestion. Probably we should think about this as well, to deploy only PVC by default. And if user just decides to deploy PV as well, we can reconcile the PV in the controller. What do you think?
I think in general, I think we should only be installing a PVC without a storage class, and
by
let
default.
whatever is the default. Yeah.
Okay.
This is what I've seen everywhere, at least.
Okay. Okay, so we will also remove PV from resume experiment. From volume installation. Yep, makes sense. Any other comments here? I agree with that. Especially, I want to hear the voices from our users. If anyone want to say something.
Network connectivity, the replication instance, and in case of interruption, it automatically restarts the process and continues to migrate.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, we will try to include this in the next release. And if you have any suggestions, please comment on this issue. And we're welcome to hear all of the opinions, especially like from our end users. Yep, and also like 3 items that I want to discuss, pretty super small for Kadib. So I think we should replace Travis CI from using GitHub Actions. Oh, by the way, we have, okay. Yeah, so I think we don't need Travis CI because currently we have 2 different CIs for unit test, and we probably can use only GitHub Actions. What do you think?
With that information, they will get a follow-on call for additional details, and then the data warehouse migration experts will engage with them for a complimentary workshop. If customers are interested in migrating from IBM Netezza.
Yep, let me just. Yeah, I think I can mute. So do you have any suggestions here? Because I think GitHub Actions should provide all of the functionality to run our tests and to perform any sort of the problems that we have. What do you think?
It makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I added a GitHub action that does some testing on top of microcates, and it worked pretty well.
Okay.
I haven't discovered any issues that would prevent us from moving testing over.
Makes sense. Yep, and I think also it's super easy to restart the action in GitHub, because currently in Travis they have some problems there, and even if you set up the pipeline which can be restartable, it is not possible currently, and you need to push the new changes or just a new comment to trigger the CI, which is actually not easy for our PRs. Yeah, so we will try to replace it with the actions. Try to make it. And the last Yeah, the next item that I want to discuss about the text for trial images, which currently, if you take a look in our repository in KDIP, and if you take a look at the examples, for example, like a random example, we are using some interesting tech here. So why we did this before? Because this example is very like the part of the repository which all of the users are currently looking for. And if you make any changes in this Docker image, the changes will apply on all examples, even on the examples from the previous version. For example, imagine that user just used KDIP 0.9 or 0.10. But if this image version is the latest and the latest changes just break the previous release, the user cannot just run the simple random example. And because of that, previously we implemented the tags, but currently we have the release process, which is fine, I think, right now. And from my point of view, we can maybe remove these tags from the master branch, and for example, 0.11 branch, we can include tag for each trial image. And if user just if just any users come to us and say like, okay, these examples just don't work, they can also like just select the branch like 0.11 and see the proper tag for the trial. In that approach, we can always keep the latest changes in the master, and we can keep the 0. Release changes in the release branch. What do you think? Yep. Any comments here? These images are also releasing like the part of our release process as we implement it for each version. Yeah, I think if you don't have, I think we have something at the chat. Okay, so if you have any, I will create an issue for that, and if you have any suggestions, please let us know. Because currently we need to create the PR to update this image text for the trial images, which is, I think, not really good for the whole release processes. And the latest part that I want to discuss about on the release is about the KFP examples. So currently KFP examples for KDIP are located under Kubeflow pipelines repository. What do you think about moving them? Thank you, Yanis. What do you think about moving them to the KDIP repo? Does it make sense? Will it be easier for the user to find the examples for Kubeflow pipelines? And I really want to hear like voices from the users. Like, what is how we can show them that KDIP can be integrated in KFP, and we have the launcher, we have an examples.
Makes sense to me to move the examples over.
Yeah, because KF serving currently, I think, follows the same way. They also have the pipelines examples under KF serving repo.
You know, Andre, I think that many of the Kubeflow users have not matured enough to use KTIB, but when I talk to them, I think having these examples easy to get to and try out, when I talk to them, they seem to want it because they like the benefits, right, that they're going to get out of it. But I think that we need to make this very easy for them to be able to find these trials and use them. So the more that you can do that, the better.
Okay. And do you think will it be easier to find these examples if we have like the place in Kubeflow pipelines and also like the place in under KDIP repo? Do you think it makes sense?
I think it does. I mean, Kubeflow pipelines is the most popular Kubeflow component. So the more that you get in their slipstream and make sure that people understand that, they work together, probably good.
Mhm.
But, the other part of it is making sure that all the documentation stays up to date, right? So there's kind of a two-edged sword there, but I would think that you're on the right track to have it in the pipelines.
Okay. Okay, we will try to merge them to KDIP as well, to just to just make sure that that users know that they can use Kubeflow pipelines and KDIP. And I think it's a good way of to have this sort of an integration. I agree. I think we also should probably have better integration with Kubeflow pipelines, because currently the MNIST examples, like E2E MNIST examples, example is outdated. Yeah, I will try to update this example for at least for 1.4 Kubeflow, and to show how the components can be integrated in Kubeflow pipelines, that you can use TF operator, you can use KFServer, you can use KDIP as part of your pipeline. Because currently, I think many users they don't know that they can actually use other components in Kubeflow pipelines, right? And this, I think, should be our next step, to show this sort of the integration. Any other things that you want to discuss related to AutoML? Also, maybe do you have some time? Yeah, we have like few minutes for AutoML to discuss roadmap 2021. I don't know if you had time to check the issue, but the main point that I tried to highlight here, that we really need to establish AWS CI/CD migration in our 2021 release process. Having the new UI should be definitely one of the next step, and just completely replace the current one. Also, the important thing which we don't support right now, which is different versioning in CRD. I hope that in 2021 we have enough cycles to integrate this and have the different sort of the API, because we can't even right now integrate a new feature in API without changing the version. We have only one version for all APIs in KDIP, which is not good if we're talking about Kubernetes projects. And some other things regarding to AutoML. I hope that we have enough. We just really want to hear like voices from the users as well, and to just check which feature they really want to see in KDIP in the next releases. Like something, do we need to have different CRDs for each AutoML feature, like NAS, HP, which we discussed before? Because currently AutoML, like HP and NAS, has a lot of different part of the API, which is better to integrate in different sort of experiments. And this definitely should be discussable with our users. Also, like integrated new algorithms such as ACHA, which is related on hyperband, and like feature engineering, population-based training. So all of these features, I think, is very important for KDIP. But we still need to hear the voices from the users, what exactly they want to, which part of the AutoML they want to see in Kubeflow and in KDIP especially. Do you want to add something on the roadmap, Josh? Any comments here? Because if you're talking, you're mute right now.
This looks good. I mean, I would like to get more user feedback, and we need to think about, some way to generate that. So why don't you and I talk about that offline and see if we can figure out a good idea to spin up direct feedback on the roadmap.
Okay, makes sense. Any feedback from the user survey that users are missing right now in Kubeflow regarding to AutoML?
Well, we definitely saw a big uptick in the number of people that are saying that they want to use it. I don't know that we dove deep enough in to ask particular questions at this level.
Okay.
And I think that these type of questions may be better in an interactive session with just a few users that are experienced. But I think that at this point, it's directionally correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
We have more users in production than ever before, and our growth rate in terms of people that are responding and giving us feedback is up 50% year over year. So those are both really good.
Okay. Yeah, definitely agree. The main problem is how we can arrange this sort of the connection between user. Should we try to make a tutorial session in April? Do we have enough time to?
I think a tutorial session would be good. I think April's probably a little quick, but the sooner that you could, late April or whatever, or early May, something like that, I would think makes some sense. Even similar time to when KubeCon comes out, right?
Yep. I have one idea here. What do you think about maybe we can create the doc and share it across Kubeflow users and ask them what they don't really understand in AutoML in Kubeflow and what they want to see in AutoML in Kubeflow, and they can just leave a comments there, and after that we can try to create a session, I don't know, in May or in early June to just handle all of these use cases. What do you think?
I think that, there makes some sense. We probably should, talk about it a little more and figure out how to get user participation and input, right? I mean, is really the key, that if we're going to do the work to prepare for this, we want to make sure that there might be some step-by-step milestones that, we slowly get people more and more engaged, right?
I agree. And the biggest problem that's between our users and contributors, we really need to see the clear vision from the user perspective. We don't really want to spend our time to implement something which will not be useful for our to use Kubeflow in production. It's maybe better to spend more time on something which is related to our end users, right? And we can't really get it without feedback from the users.
Yep, I agree. All right, well, why don't you and I connect and talk about this? We can either do this or whatever, but let's put a plan together. Okay.
Yeah, sure, makes sense. I think we can just move forward to training. Any latest comment to KDIP, AutoML, anything that you want to highlight? Let me just check the chat. Yeah, I will just put your issue in the notes as well, Yanis. Thank you. Okay, so let's just discuss some topics to training. I don't know if Josh is here right now, or maybe Terry. I can't see them. Okay, I think we can start. So the first thing that we really need to decide which part of the training operators will be in the Kubeflow 1.3. I try to highlight this to the training leads. From my understanding, currently we have only TF operator, right?
Yeah, this is the only one that we have some activity in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for TF operator, the reason that I put this comment here is I just finished testing and onboard the TF operator to public ECR registry. So that gives me much more confidence to say this is working and in TF operator because it's already testing by our pipeline. So yeah, that's why I put it here. But we need to think about what if other training operators that do not have an end-to-end testing pipeline. How can we do that? Are we relying on manually testing or something else? Yeah.
I agree with Yao here, and I think we don't need to include operators in Kubeflow 1.3, which is not, which don't have like the E2E CI/CD pipeline. In Kubeflow 1.2, we included only PyTorch operator and TF operator.
By the way, I think the other operators had manifests in as well in the manifest repo.
Yes, they have. Yes, but in kfctl in Kubeflow 1.2 we haven't added. I think in kfctl we just added only TF, as I said, like TF job and PyTorch job.
Yes, I think so. I think the AWS kfctl included some others as well. But more importantly, like I don't know for other operators, but for XGBoost, for example, there is a user that is saying, I want to use this, and I can't from the manifest. So it's like there's probably some miscommunication there. I don't know, was the intent of the training working group not for users to deploy from this?
I think the biggest problem here is that we don't have enough contribution time on the training working group. And yes, there are like many users, and on the previous meeting, which is Asia friendly, we had a lot of attendance, and they said that they don't really use Kubeflow, but they're using MPI operator, MXNet operator, or XGBoost, and they don't really care about other Kubeflow components. And because of that, I think from our side, we didn't include them to the Kubeflow manifest.
Sure, but if they, what I'm saying is that, okay, if they care about these components and they use them, then they probably have manifest that work that we can include, right?
I understand. The question is here.
So I know, so for example, I know that we could include the latest master from many of these operators because that's what the previous release had. But it would be great, to also have some validation from the people involved in the development there. And also for XGBoost in particular, because something has came up. And I think that the people developing XGBoost can probably help resolve this and have this for 1.3.
Hey, Yanis, this is Jiaxin. So for that issue, I'll resolve it today.
Thanks, Jiaxin. That sounds great.
Yep, thank you so much. So, Jiaxin, just to be clear, in Kubeflow 1.3, which operator you think we should include?
I think most TF and PyTorch are most stable ones, and for rest of them, we probably the question will be what commits and what tag we should choose from them. I think they we probably won't discard any operators because in the past release we include them as well.
Okay. Do you think we should take just the master branch like Yao did here, right?
Yeah, I think master works, but it would be better to have a tag, even like patch release tag. That would be better. But yeah, I like to sync with the I think, working groups training today to finalize the commit ID or the tag ID.
Yeah, because the biggest problem I think we should decide it for end of today.
Today, okay.
So
yeah. Okay, no problem. So if we let me leave a comment there. So if we can't make it to current tag, then we use the commit ID as a backup.
Okay. And for the stable one, all of the manifests, they are actually working, right? Because I know that Yanis created the PRs to merge the manifest from the Kubeflow manifest to the upstream.
So this should be using the same images as they were using in the old
yeah, it's using conduct.
Right. Yeah. Let me because there's the end-to-end test, but let me see. It probably didn't use this manifest. Let me have another round testing, manual testing, to double confirm they're all working. Yeah.
Thanks, Yaxin. Thanks a lot for the help. So we're waiting. So just saying what you said right now, you will test the existing operators, try to get a tagged version for the release, and then give your desired revision on issue 1775.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds good.
Yep. On issue 70. Yep. I think we
Great.
should. Thank you so much. Just I think after 1.3 we can have a release process the same what we did for I think KFCering, Kubeflow, and Kedip, which is the problem is here how we're planning to publish images, and this one that we should discuss with Yao, right? About the AWS infra. Because currently each repository, they have a different sort of the publication of images.
Yes, I think that makes sense. Yeah.
Do you think we should follow the same release process as we discussed before? If we jump 2 months before, like each repository should have the same release process to actually publishing the images?
Yeah, definitely. That would be ideal. But we don't have a mechanism to enforce each working group to follow the same pattern as we did right now. So we need to come up with a better plan, a better idea to guide the working group how to follow the same pattern. What value can be added into their development if they follow our pattern? Yeah, something like that. We need to convince them. Yeah.
Yes, I agree on that, and we should think how we can release it, how we can make the patch releases, the minor releases, and because currently, if you're talking like from KDE point of view, we have to manually run the script to create the minor release, and I don't think it's the like the best way of making the releases. It's better to include it in post submit. So, Yanis, how actually you're doing this for Kubeflow?
That's a great question. Because at Kubeflow, I don't have the permissions to do this. So there is a.
Oh, I think you're muted right now. Yeah.
Oops. Okay. Let me find the number to share with you. It's 7. It's wait. I forgot how to count. Okay. It's 5746.
Okay. 57. Okay. Established release process. I see.
Yes. So essentially what I did is I added a file called version, and whenever this file is changed, it triggers a post-submit job to build again all the images. And I also have a script for changing all the references in manifests. So I think this is the best we can do right now if we release manifest in the same repository as the code.
And actually, this post submit job just also creates the branch and the tag, right?
I don't know if it has permissions to do that. So
okay.
So no, I don't think it does. I think you need to to create the branch, and then on the branch make the PR to change the version file. And so this is something that we're including right now. We'll see how it works, and maybe we can follow it for other repos as well.
Yeah. This probably we should discuss next time on the Kubeflow community meeting once we finalize the 1.3 release.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I may have some idea on how to make this better, but I want to work it more in my head before I
makes sense.
put it out in public.
Makes sense. So from the release point of view, we will, Josh, and you will just let us know on the issue which operator we should release, right, for Kubeflow 1.3.
Yes, by end of today, yeah.
And XGBoost also, are you planning to fix it as well?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for your work. Yeah, because as many operator we will include in Kubeflow 1.3, I think it will be better for our users to see that we're actually doing some progress on the operator parts. Do you have any questions, Yanis, by the way, related to release? Because this is very important for the training point of view.
So not really from my point of view. I'm just waiting for the revisions so that we can resume the rest of the process.
Okay. Yeah, I hope end of this day we will just finalize the release and we can move forward with other stuff. By the way, regarding to just jump to AutoML again, regarding to the blocking issue to the central dashboard, I don't know if Stefano, you here? Maybe Kamanos, can you give an update? So are you planning to create the PR like in a couple of hours to fix this?
I have this almost ready. I'm just finalizing I'm just testing it locally as we speak to make sure it's there.
Okay.
I'll give you a ping in the next hour maximum so we can merge it.
Sure.
It will be there, no worries.
Great. And I think after this release, we can discuss better how we'll arrange the central dashboard, not right now.
Definitely.
Okay. Regarding we can move forward to the proposal for the pedal operator. Justin, do you want to step forward and just give an update on this?
Sure. Yeah. So pedal operator is written by Baidu. So they developed the pedal framework for distributed training, and it's widely used in China. And right now they like to contribute the operators to Kubeflow community. So the current what we see is the proposal. So currently my question is, I think in the past year we have two similar frameworks. One is the what it's called, the Federation something from VMware, and this is a new one. So the framework is growing, and the corresponding operator is growing as well. So I'm trying to discuss how we like to manage operators in the future. So we talk about merging all the operators into one using different controllers under the same operator. So user can specify the specify the framework of the controller to start off. For example, if you like to use TF plus pedal, so you can give the list. So in that case, we don't have to maintain a lot of repos. So the maintenance, we will save a lot of efforts there. So currently, as we see, we have to replicate the same similar like release process. We write different manifest and a lot of duplicate work for different operators. And last year we did some refactor, and most operators use the exactly same repo to write their operators. It is called the Kubeflow Common. We have a project like that. So trying to get some feedbacks. So what's the process? The first thing is what's the process to accept a new operator in the future? And the second is if we want to have like umbrella operators to include all these frameworks. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I think it sounds great that if we just merge all the operators in the one repo, because this will help. This will I mean, it will be really easier to maintain, as you said. And I agree that we probably should provide the guidelines for the new operator which we want to integrate in Kubeflow, to just follow the same guideline structure. And I think we don't really have a problems to having the central repo for all operators and just use the different APIs for TF job, for PyTorch job, for NPI job, right? So do you think how we should arrange that? Should we try to create the proposal?
Yeah, I think we can draft a proposal to talk about the process and what's the changes on the user journey side. And also we need to consider if some operators cannot be created under that umbrella. So do we still want to have them separately hosted in Kubeflow, or like these kind of concerns? And probably we can talk about the design of the proposal next meeting. Yeah, first meeting this time, just like to get some feedbacks or general ideas.
Do you think we should merge this pedal operator in upstream before we integrating this central Kubeflow operator repo?
Yeah, I think so, because that will probably, the engineer efforts to merge all the operators probably takes one release cycle, and we can't block this one for that long. I think it makes sense to host it separately. And we are also talking to the writer of this operator, if they can reuse, if the current implementation can reuse a Kubeflow common, so they can save remove some duplicate code. Yeah, if that's the case, that would be much easier for us to merge in the future.
I agree. And I think it's better if it's followed the same design. Can you say what is the main difference between other distributing operator and the pedal one, which is this one?
Yeah, I think the major difference is in the framework side, but the interface side, it just use different roles. Like yeah, for example, some frameworks add extra roles on top of Kubernetes, like TensorFlow. They probably have yeah, different role sets, and I think that's a major difference. Yeah. And another difference is like some drop policies, for example, like cleanup policies, success policies. For those kind of differences, I think we can have we can extract some common interface. Yeah.
Yes, I agree, because the structure that I can see here from the YAML perspective is similar to TF operator, so we can try to reuse the different replica set here.
Right.
Okay, but regarding to the organization process, I think we should highlight this problem on the Kubeflow community meeting and ask the PSG group how we can merge this, and is it possible to create a new repo? Because again, the question is who will maintain this, and do they have enough time to maintain this repo? I mean, I can't answer these questions.
Right. Another thing we need to consider is since the implementation is ready, so do we want to include it in 1.3 release?
I think it's, I'm not sure that because the new feature is stopped today. So
yeah, okay, got it.
I think it's better to first of all just highlight this topic on the Kubeflow community meeting. I don't know, next one or the next after next, because currently the 1.3 release process is still under discussion.
Yeah.
And we can try to merge this in upstream. What do you think?
Yeah, sounds good.
And author of this this operator. Okay. Right now, okay. I think he's not in the meeting right now. Okay. But just I think we just need to let them know about the presentation, the Kubeflow community meeting. Can you maybe ping him, Justin, after the meeting to just?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I can get in touch with him.
Thank you. I think we have some time to discuss MPI. Let me just post here. Do you want to give a quick overview? Abdullah, is it correct? Are you here? Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks for the
yep, sure.
For the time. Yeah, we're interested in MPI operator. We are looking for a way to deploy MPI jobs on top of Kubernetes, and we found this operator, which looks very interesting. But it was at the beginning it was confusing because it was under Kubeflow, and we thought there was like a strong dependency between that operator and the Kubeflow in general, like core Kubeflow. And yeah, taking a closer look, it doesn't look like there is a strong dependency. There is some shared, code there. I think mostly in the API part, the replica set, I think you call it. But to us, it seems like it actually confuses the API a little bit. Like MPI is a little bit more abstract, right? Like, and we can probably simplify the API by doing that. And the other suggestion is if we move it to a repo under SIG apps, we might get a chance to access, like API reviewers in Kubernetes, align it more with the job API that we have in core Kubernetes, and the whole release process. Just to give another background here, like I'm a contributor on Kubernetes, I'm a co-chair of the SIG scheduling. So this is the angle I'm coming from. So that's the suggestion. It's by no means like undermining the current repo, as much as getting more clarity that this is something that can work outside Kubeflow and can evolve independently of Kubeflow. And the idea of trying to have the whole community, like Kubernetes community, around one way of deploying MPI, again, independent of Kubeflow. So that's, I guess, my mental model. That's the reasoning behind the proposal. So, yeah, I'm wondering what everybody thinks, and if there's precedence to that in the past.
I got your point. I think currently, as I said, MPI operator uses some sort of the common libraries. The main question is, I think the main owner of MPI operator is Terry, right now. Let me double check. Yeah, it's Terry. I don't think Terry right now on the call. Yeah, he's not here. So
that's right. I can discuss it in Kubeflow meeting as well.
Yes.
I'm wondering if the larger community here has any strong opinions about this. Like I see paddle operator is trying, they're trying to bring one into Kubeflow, and doing the opposite, trying to get it out. So I don't know how people think about this, like the whole operator ecosystem.
I think the biggest problem here, if we move away MPI operator from Kubeflow, some of the users they will not see this feature in the Kubeflow distributions part, because a lot of our users, they do not install components independently, that they install the whole stack in AWS, on GCP, on any other sort of the other cloud providers. And I don't know how we can handling, if we move away the MPI from the Kubeflow ecosystem, how we can provide the same user experience as we can do right now. So I don't know. It's maybe better to discuss on as you said, like on the Kubeflow community meeting, to have a better overview on that. Yeah, but because I think the main idea of MPI operator was to handling the training jobs. I don't know, Justin, do you have any more insights, or what was the main idea to developing the MPI operator on the Kubeflow?
Yeah, actually, the operator, I mean, the Kubeflow operators take care of the like the pod orchestrations to set up the all the like the host files and enable the SSH between the pods and the user launcher to launch the tasks. And the major work is down in the inside the job. So I'm kind of interested, the motivations, what capabilities some people need to extract the logics, because I think the major logics is still the applications.
You mean the motivation behind moving it out of the Kubeflow? Like, why do you think it would make sense to live outside Kubeflow and the ML ecosystem?
Yes. What people need in the SIG apps or the Kubernetes community, what people can leverage.
I mean, the idea here is that MPI is not ML, right? Like MPI is a vehicle to deploy jobs. One type of jobs is ML. There are other types of jobs that you can deploy on top of MPI and develop on top of MPI. So we look at it as something more generic, and the idea is to provide a way to do that in the community while having something that the whole community agrees on. We see a lot of fragmentation, especially in the batch space.
Yep.
ML is a big part of the batch space. And so we're trying to find a way, to provide an operator at the same time, not attached to the specific, segment of batch workloads.
Got it. Do you think this way works? We can, if you have some other use case other than like ML, you can attach to the issues. We can help evaluate how to provide a generic way to serve these workloads, or if the MPI operator can cover this case. And yeah, we can talk about in the issues on those specific cases.
Yeah, again, the idea is not that the MPI operator currently cannot support the use cases we want, as much as we're trying to make it, like not attach it with Kubeflow and create a dependency in Kubeflow and create the perception that is an ML focused operator.
Yeah, I get it. So my point is, let's see if there's a value to extract something from MPI operator to more generic solutions, and yeah. So that's my point. Yeah.
Okay.
And the question is, I think we're like out of time. So if anybody, if you want to leave, you just can, it's fine. But I have like a couple of questions. So why it can't be deployed as part of the Kubeflow organization? Why you just want to move to SIG, to the Kubernetes SIG?
Why? Like I mentioned this in the comment below. Like why would be useful to extract it out. We see that there's a potentially there's an opportunity to increase adoption outside ML. Basically, people who wants to deploy jobs outside ML using MPI.
Okay.
So you would get exposure, and we would align with Kubernetes standards in terms of like API reviews, releasing, and testing. There's a larger community there that we potentially can sway to make MPI, more center stage, like similar to the job API we have in core Kubernetes. So it's as close as we can get to core Kubernetes. I guess that's my point.
Okay, So basically include the MPI as the Kubernetes control plane like other CRDs like jobs or
yeah, I mean, it would be a
mm-hmm.
separate controller.
Yeah, okay.
That would be quite separately.
Okay.
But we might get a chance to align it better with core Kubernetes jobs. Like we would build on top of it. We would get better feedback and influence actually on the job API to better support, for example, MPI on top of it.
Okay. I think it makes sense to, as you said before, just highlight into the Kubeflow community meeting, and try to, if it's possible, maybe try to provide some bullet point why it's need to be merged to the Kubernetes community and why it's better for the MPI operator project to be successful to merge it to the independent organization. What do you think? Instead of handling in the Kubeflow/MPI operator right now.
Yeah, I mean that's I guess what I'm explaining in that comment, right?
I mean, it will be great if you can just, I mean, try to attend the Kubeflow meeting and just, I mean, and highlighting, just highlighting this.
I think that I add more bullet points into that issue. Describing the motivation, but yeah, certainly I'm gonna attend the Kubeflow and discuss with the
community. Any questions here? Any comments last, because we'll be out of time, but thank you, by the way, for your effort, Abdullah, because this is, I think, will be super useful for the part of the community, and we can always say that users can use this MPI as a part of the ML pipeline. I don't know, but George, do you have any comments here from the user perspective? Do you think does it make sense for our end users?
I think we're going to have to ask them.
Okay. Okay, I get it. Okay, any last questions, comments that you want to discuss? Okay, great. Let me just start the recording.